You've heard it before, maybe at a board meeting, maybe during a grant review, or maybe from someone you met at a coffee shop who, upon learning what you do, immediately offered, you know what nonprofits really need? To be run more like a business. And they say it like they've just cracked the code, like they've handed you the golden key to fixing every challenge we face in the sector. And maybe they don't mean harm. Maybe they truly believe that if we just adopted the mindset of private enterprise, we'd be more successful, more scalable, more efficient. And on the surface, sure, it sounds logical. We all want to be efficient. We want to make smart use of our resources. We want to lead with intention and have structures in place that make sense. But here's where this idea that nonprofits should run like businesses falls apart. It assumes we're working in the same world, that we're playing the same game, that we're chasing the same results. We're not. Nonprofits are not businesses. We aren't selling products. We aren't generating profit. And we don't get to choose our customer base. We don't screen for the ideal client or decide to serve only those who are easy to help or guaranteed to show a return. We walk alongside people in crisis, people who've been failed by every other system, people who are navigating violence, homelessness, addiction, discrimination, generational trauma, and who come through our doors because we're the last option left. And let's be honest, the work we do is not always scalable. It's not always neat. It doesn't always fit into a spreadsheet. Sometimes the win is that someone comes back after ghosting us for 2 months, or someone made it through the week without relapsing. Sometimes it's just that they showed up. Tell me, how do you build a business model around that? Now, sure, there are things we can learn from the business world, absolutely. We can apply good management practices, better marketing strategies, clearer communication, smarter use of data. But none of those tools matter if the model we're operating under assumes we can treat people like products or success like profit. And that's the trap. When people say run it like a business, they usually mean cut costs, tighten your belt, reduce overhead, be lean, which really just means do the impossible with less. And let me ask you, what other industry is expected to function without adequate staffing, without sustainable funding, without operational support, and still deliver life-changing results? Imagine walking into a hospital and saying, hey, could you eliminate your HR department to save money? Maybe your billing staff too? Just focus on saving lives. Sounds ridiculous, right? But that's what nonprofits hear all the time. Can't you just have volunteers do that? Can't you write that grant in your free time? Do you really need an admin assistant? Yes, we do. You know why? Because this work is complicated. It's emotionally taxing. It requires structure. It requires people who know what they're doing, who have lived experience or professional training, or both. Let's talk about leadership for a moment. In the business world, CEOs are often celebrated for taking big risks, for bold ideas, for growing fast and failing fast. But in nonprofit leadership, we're told to play it safe. We don't want to upset the funder. Don't speak out too boldly. Don't try anything new unless you have the evaluation metrics already figured out. We aren't rewarded for innovation. We're punished for instability. And yet, we're often operating in environments that are inherently unstable. Housing crisis, mental health emergencies, natural disasters, policy shifts. Every time the wind blows in a new direction, we're expected to pivot and still look polished. Now let's talk about funding. In business, your revenue comes from customers. You sell a product, they pay for it. You adjust pricing based on supply and demand. In nonprofit work, we might have 5 different revenue streams, none of which are predictable. We're writing grants to support work we're already doing, chasing program funding that comes with strings attached, and holding our breath, hoping that unrestricted gifts will come through so we can keep the lights on. And all the while, we're asked to show results, impact, transformation. Let me ask you something. How do you transform systems, end generational poverty, dismantle racism, support healing from trauma, and still look efficient? That's not a business model. That's a miracle. And our sector pulls off those miracles every single day. I want to take a moment to speak to the human side of this, because beneath this myth is a deeper assumption that nonprofit people are bad at business, that if we were just a little more organized, a little more strategic, we'd be able to do more. But I've seen nonprofit leaders build strategic plans in 3 languages. I've seen program managers launch community-wide initiatives with no budget and a team of 2. I've seen outreach workers prevent suicide, de-escalate violence, and mediate family conflict in the same afternoon. This isn't about a lack of skill. This is about a lack of respect, a lack of trust, a lack of recognition that nonprofit work is harder in many ways because it's about people, and people are complex. Let's flip the script again. What if businesses were run like nonprofits? What if the CEO of a tech company had to apply for a grant every quarter to keep their team paid? What if a retail chain had to prove its impact on community well-being in order to restock inventory? What if a restaurant had to get board approval before changing the lunch menu? And what if every customer demanded to know how much of their payment was spent on the cashier's wages? They wouldn't last 6 months. So maybe the question isn't, why aren't nonprofits more like businesses? Maybe the question is, why don't we give nonprofits the same grace, flexibility, and investment we give to businesses? Because here's the truth. The nonprofit sector is not broken. It's brilliant. It's creative. It's scrappy in the best ways. It's people-centered and justice-focused. But it's underfunded, over-controlled, and constantly pressured to prove its worth using tools that don't fit the work. We don't need to be more like business. We need to be more like ourselves, freed from outdated expectations, released from performative scarcity, and trusted to lead the way we know how. We're not building widgets. We're building relationships. We're not managing customers. We're walking alongside survivors, elders, youth, and communities at the margins. We're not chasing profit. We're chasing justice, dignity, and healing. So no, we're not a business, and we shouldn't be run like one. We are a sector driven by purpose, not profit, guided by values, not shareholders, built on service, not sales. And when we're funded, trusted, and resourced like that matters, we change lives. We change systems. We change everything. So the next time someone says, you should run your nonprofit more like a business, take a breath, smile if you want to, and say, we don't run it like a business. We run it like a mission with intention, care, equity, and heart. That's not a flaw. That's the point.